Welcome back, everybody, to the Science of Finding Your Spiritual Self podcast. Now, what if the anxiety you've been fighting isn't actually the enemy? What if it's the messenger? You've Googled how to stop feeling anxious at 2 a.m., you've done the breathing exercises, you've journaled, you've tried the supplements, the routines, the self help books that pile up on your nightstand like a monument to your own desperation, and still something feels stuck. For some of us, it's that low hum of anxiety that follows you into every room. For others, it's the fog of depression that makes you feel like getting out of bed feels like climbing Mount Everest. Maybe it's burnout, that particular kind of empty feeling that isn't just tired, it's like it feels like you've lost yourself. If any part of that landed, this episode is for you, so stay with me here. I'm Marco Lockwood, and this is the Science of Finding Your Spiritual Self podcast. And today we're going to discuss 10 paradigm shifts that you can make through the paradigm process. Anybody can make them. We don't just talk about healing here. That's the difference. We map the actual road because healing isn't a vibe, as I'm sure you're starting to learn. It's a process, and it's a scientific process leading to spiritual awakening. And today we start at the very beginning. In today's episode, I want to give you the full landscape of, what we're going to cover, which includes why anxiety, depression, and burnout share the same root cause and why treating the symptoms keeps people stuck. We could treat the symptoms for decades still, and people have done it. And they tell me that they've suffered from depression for 20 years, and they've had lots and lots of people try and treat the symptoms with them. That's like not treating a bullet wound and, just replacing a Band-Aid constantly. It doesn't work. So there's so many myths about healing that might be sabotaging your process right now. And if you become aware of them, they can only help you. So we'll discuss practical entry points, real things that you can start doing today. And then also we want you to know if you're already further along the line on the healing path than you may think, which is often the case. So let's stay to the end. I'm going to share the one mindset shift that changes everything for most people. And we've treated thousands of people from all over the world with all kinds of different problems, from meaninglessness to treatment-resistant depression, anxiety, and addictions, and all kinds of trauma that you can imagine. Anxiety, depression, and burnout aren't three different problems, really. They're different faces of the same wound. So here's what conventional approaches often miss. Anxiety, depression, and burnout are not random misfires. They're your nervous system's response to a perceived threat. And when we threaten, remember, we defend and we close. And this is important because often threats that began years ago, sometimes in childhood, sometimes are compounded year after year. And we start thinking that high performance is going to help us, that people pleasing is going to help us. And especially if we just suppress the thoughts, feelings, and emotions, we're going to be okay. But you can sweep nothing under the rug for long. When we experience chronic stress, whether it's workplace pressure, relationship dysfunction, any kind of unprocessed trauma, financial fears even, it's a big deal today, or simply years of ignoring your own needs, our bodies shift into a state called dysregulation. The nervous system designed to protect us gets stuck in a loop, okay? And any kind of loop is like an addictive loop. Anxiety just speaks to us saying danger is coming. Stay alert. But we're not designed to stay alert for too long. It's like keeping your hand on the hot plate of a stove. It's a good alert, but if you keep it there, it's going to be trouble. Depression says the danger never ends, so just shut down. It's hopeless, pointless. It makes you feel powerless, one of the most devastating feelings we can feel, like there's no way out. And then burnout says you've been running on empty for so long, you've forgotten what full feels like. Healing isn't just about silencing these signals. It's about helping your nervous system feel safe enough to release these things. Okay, so let's go into the three biggest healing myths that we come across. If you've been trying to heal and it's not working, there's a good chance you've been lied to about what healing actually is. So, myth number one, healing means feeling good all the time. This is the Instagram version of healing. Green juices, gratitude journals, aesthetically pleasing morning routines. They're good, but they're not good enough. These things aren't bad, but they're not healing in the sense that we want to heal, grow, transform, and renew. Healing is sometimes, unfortunately, ugly business. It's sitting with grief you've avoided for years. It's feeling anger you were told wasn't allowed. Real healing moves through discomfort, not around it. So, myth number two is healing is linear. People often tell me they're doing so well, and then something happens and they fell back. They relapsed. But healing isn't a straight line. It's a spiral dynamics, I call it. You revisit the same themes at different parts, at different times, at different depths. Returning to a difficult feeling doesn't mean you failed. It just means you're ready to go deeper to another new level. Okay, it's like an onion. You got to peel it back. Myth number three, you have to understand it to heal it. Our culture is obsessed with insight, information as well. We think if we just understand why we're this way, we'll be healed. But the body doesn't store pain in stories. It stores in sensations, posture, breath patterns, gut responses. That's why talk therapy alone often isn't enough anymore. So, somatic and body based healing approaches help us to complete the process where it actually lives in the nervous system and the body. That body keeps the score, right? And our issues are in our tissues. You don't need to think your way out of what you felt your way into. So, those are the three myths, and it's good to know them. So, let's move on to the 10-stage paradigm process framework. So, if we want to create something new, I say everything has to change: physiological, psychological, emotional, and spiritual. Okay, you're not just your five senses, you're much, much more than that. In fact, you're a divine human being, and you're a human being having a spiritual experience for the first half of life. And then you start to realize you're a spiritual being having a human experience after that. So, these five stages of creating something profound and deep in terms of transformation starts with stage one, recognition; stage two, safety, certainty; stage three, processing; stage four, integration, I'm more than my pain; and stage five, transformation. My healing becomes my gift. So transformation really isn't a destination, it's the orientation. When you've moved through these previous stages, something shifts. Your sensitivity becomes your superpower. Your story becomes your service, and your healing becomes part of something larger than yourself. Okay, that's why in any 12-step programs, people are looking for a higher power. This universe is so much larger than ourselves, but when we get stressed, we get into our heads, so to speak. So healing is much, much larger than yourself. And we're actually becoming unlimited through any kind of healing process that's worth its weight. You may be at different stages for different areas of your life, but that's completely normal. The process isn't about completing stages, it's about deepening them. Okay? So that's really, really important. You don't need a perfect plan. You need one honest step at a time. So that's the process. Once you get a feeling for that, it's called the paradigm process. And it's just, yeah, it's something that we need to walk through. I want to give you something concrete to take away from this episode. Not too many points, but just realize that the safety anchor practice is something that anybody can do to start working on their nervous system. And remember, when you work on your nervous system, you're giving your subconscious a break. So the safety anchor practices, for example, 3 times a day, pause and feel both your feet on the floor. Take a slow breath in 4 counts, and then you sort of hold for 4 to 6, 4 in, 6 out. And then you name things. Name 3 things you can see, 2 things you can hear, 1 thing you can taste. And this isn't so much about mindfulness, it's just taking a little bit of action, and it's direct input into your parasympathetic nervous system. Something that takes 90 seconds, but it rewires over time. And of course, the practices become much deeper as you go. But the biggest practice of all is the awareness that you are not your frightened personality. You are not your overwhelmed nervous system. Okay. And a mindset shift can change everything. So ask yourself, what do I believe about myself because of this pain, because of what I've experienced? And is that belief actually true for me today? This is pushing into the present. Write it down, challenge it. It's another great place to start because this question alone has cracked open healing for millions of people. Because at the root of most chronic anxiety, depression, and burnout is a belief about your own self-worth. You know, that's that snake in the garden. We're lied to about our worth. We're divine, not damaged. We misidentify with the masks we wear. We think that's us. No, those masks are there to defend. There's no bad masks. They helped us. But now, years later, they throttle us. And the throttling is actually a cue to let yourself become free, unlimited and unbounded again, and spiral upwards. Okay, so here it is, the shift that I promised you. Now, most of us approach our own pain as a problem to be solved, something to eliminate, manage, or suppress, transcend even, right? And that energy of trying to fix yourself is exhausting. And it's okay. It's also, and I say this with so much compassion, a form of self-rejection, yet again. What if instead you got curious? Okay, you start leaning into uncertainty, become a mystic. What if anxiety wasn't your enemy, but a signal from a part of you that's been scared for a very, very long time and has never been told it's okay to rest? What if depression wasn't failure, but protection? Your psyche pulling you inward is because outward wasn't safe. What if burnout wasn't weakness, but wisdom? Your body finally refusing to betray itself for a world that doesn't love you like you love it back is a betrayal. It's an abandonment, a rejection. So that's the root of our trauma. There we go. And the paradigm shift from what's wrong with me to what happened to me, and then to what is possible for me. That is the entire journey we're mapping here together. So a new paradigm is what's needed. Remember, I said what has to change is everything, but it's really not that difficult, as we'll see now. Healing begins when you stop being your own judge and become your own witness. Let's say that again. I just want you to remember that healing begins when you stop being your own judge, which is the 10th paradigm on the paradigm process list. Stop being your own judge and become your own witness, to ask, who am I without my stories of the past, is a call to action. It's a call to change, and it's available to everybody. If something in this episode shifted something in you, even a little, get the book. It's not an accident. Start the program. Do an assessment online. Start climbing the energetic scale of consciousness, which is simply a life scale of 0 to 1,000, where you can actually map out your progress. It's incredible. Just look it up. The ESC, energetic scale of consciousness. There's tons of stuff online. And then Just remember to subscribe, to connect with us, read every message, get onto the mailing list, and definitely hook in next time when we discuss why you're not broken, the neuroscience of trauma and stress, and your brilliant survival brain. So don't miss that. And we'll keep on keeping on. Let's go. Namaste.